Hello, my name is Benjamin Hart. I'm an American attorney and the Managing Director of Integrity Legal here in Bangkok, Thailand. As the title of this video suggests, we're discussing same-sex visas, LGBT visas if you want to call it that, but basically visas for primarily same-sex couples, specifically in the context of those who hold diplomatic visas or diplomatic status in the United States. So this may be those working for the UN or those working for a foreign mission in the U.S. Quoting directly from Newsweek.com, the article is entitled, "Get Married or Leave the Country, Donald Trump Ends Visas for Diplomats' LGBT Partners." I thought that the title to this was a little bit misleading, and I'll get into that here in a minute. But that being said, Trump administration is now denying visas to unmarried same-sex domestic partners of foreign diplomats and United Nations employees, while ordering those who are already in the U.S. to either get married by the end of the year or leave the country. To stop quoting there for a moment, it should be noted, denying visas to unmarried same-sex domestic partners. Continuing to quote here, the U.S. mission to the UN has reportedly explained the move as an effort to update its international visa practices to reflect current U.S. policy. Quoting further, since the Supreme Court ruled in favor of legalizing same-sex marriage in 2015, U.S. policy has dictated that diplomatic visas only be available for married spouses. What's going on here? Well, in the past, we had this kind of gray area with respect to diplomats and the spouses of diplomats or the domestic partners of diplomats because the United States did not recognize same-sex marriage in a legal context, although there were other jurisdictions that we had diplomatic relations with that did perhaps recognize some form of marital relationship or marital type relationship, civil unions, for example, domestic partnerships, or just straight same-sex marriage. These other jurisdictions, basically, the State Department basically made an accommodation. In fact, I believe most of this happened under Hillary Clinton's tenure as Secretary of State, and it was quite a laudable endeavor. She basically just unilaterally said, look, the same-sex partners of those who are on diplomatic status in the United States, and for that matter, same-sex partners of American personnel abroad would be granted visas, etc., as if they were married, for lack of a better term. Well, then the law actually changed. The Supreme Court went ahead and ruled that same-sex marriage was legal, and now it is legal in the United States, and as a result, it's no issue to have visas for the spouse of a diplomat in the United States. But here's where the law kind of had this sort of, it had to play catch-up, maybe, if you will. The old rules stipulated unmarried domestic partners might be able to get a visa. What they're basically doing is just amending that to say, no, that's no longer the case. Only those same-sex or different-sex partners who are married can get diplomatic status. And frankly, in my opinion, I think this only goes to regularize from a legal standpoint just the status that these folks all have now. So while it's not possible for, say, the girlfriend or boyfriend, if you will, in a different sex relationship to get a diplomatic dependent derivative visa to the United States, it was possible in this sort of interim period for the boyfriend or girlfriend in a same-sex capacity to go ahead and get a derivative dependent visa, notwithstanding the fact that they weren't actually married. Basically, the law is just sort of caught up, and basically the administration has gone ahead and said, look, everybody needs to be married now in order to go ahead and get a derivative dependent visa in the USA. Now, what's interesting is Newsweek, who I don't believe are particularly big fans of Donald Trump, and I'm not going to get political in this, they make it sound like that this is sort of the end for these folks. It's not. As noted in the article, and I urge those who are interested in this to go read it, basically there's a time frame that's given for these folks to go ahead and get married. Well, if they're in the United States, they can marry in any jurisdiction in the United States and then basically take that documentation to the relevant authorities to go ahead and have a visa extension, whatever, go ahead and issue. So while I don't think it's fair to say that this is some great travesty, it is a change with respect to derivative dependent visas for diplomats in the United States. And in my opinion, it's one that goes ahead and reflects the legal equality of marriage for those of any sex, which currently prevails in the United States.